Anonymous Middle Eastern artist Saint Hoax is joining me on Google Hangout. We're going to be discussing some of their very controversial artwork, but before we get into that, Saint Hoax, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I guess the first question I want to ask you is, why do you remain anonymous?
Well, that goes back around, I think, 5 months ago when I started my first project, War Drags You Out, and I published a series of portraits of political and religious leaders in drag costumes, and it actually stirred up a lot of upset reviews, I would say. I think because people are emotionally attached to their leaders and they wouldn't want to see them that way. And I received a vast amount of death threats because of that project. And ever since, I decided to remain anonymous. And then it actually went beyond that, where I thought that my personality and my personal life had nothing to do with my work, and maybe if I keep that separate and I would just publish my work without that, it would actually be better for me, more comfortable, I would say.
Great. Well, I want to touch on some of your artwork in just a little bit, but can you tell me about Saint Hoax? How did Saint Hoax come to be?
As an artist, or actually even before that, as a person, I always believe that if there's something out there that bothers you, you need to tackle it, and you need to do something about it. And my own way of dealing with that was, I guess, through my art. And I decided to create projects that would somehow, I wouldn't want to say criticize, but would somehow point out those things that bother me out there through visual representation.
Now, I think one of the campaigns that you've done that really signified what bothers you out there is the Princess Diaries. I know that came out, was it how long ago did that come out?
Actually, it came out recently, 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago.
Why did you choose to use Disney princesses in this campaign?
I personally am obsessed with Disney. I don't know if you can tell. Like today, I'm wearing my Maleficent ears, which I got from Disneyland, and I'm so happy with them. And Disney to me is something that is incredibly powerful. I grew up watching those princesses. I love them. And I thought that that was such a strong message, and that kids should be aware of that thing, actually. And the only way to go across, I wouldn't want to say kids, but minors, because I was targeting minors, anyone under the age of 18, and obviously anyone that has experienced incest in general, but specifically anyone under 18. And I thought that the way to get to them was to speak to them in a language that they understand. And Disney is a universal language. Every kid in the world knows what Disney is. And for them to see those princesses being kissed by their fathers, like, would make them question maybe, what is that? And they would ask about it. And that way the parents would be somehow forced to get involved in that subject and would be forced to explain to them that those things do happen and they need to beware.
What inspired you to shine light on this controversial topic?
Well, sadly, my friend recently told me that she went through that, and I never knew. She was a very close friend, and she never actually spoke about it until just 3 weeks ago. And that shocked me, like my own friend was not able to communicate that to me. Like, that made me think about all the other people and all the other kids that weren't able to communicate that message as well. And I wanted to create a project that would tell them, you're not alone in any way. I just want them to know that they're not alone. This is something that we actually need to discuss out loud. Yes, it's disturbing. Yes, the posters were disturbing, but the act is much more disturbing, actually, and people need to face that reality.
Now, people were divided on social media about the campaign. Some people thought it was really effective, and some people thought it would just confuse children. What's your response to that?
Well, first of all, I think anything that creates such a hype and that creates such extreme opinions means that it succeeded. And as an awareness campaign, it shouldn't be something neutral. It has to shock you. It has to be in your face in order for you to discuss it, because otherwise it would just pass unnoticed. And I would have to say that I accept all opinions and I respect everything that has been said. I actually went through a lot of the comments, and it did make sense. Some of them did make sense. Like, they would give me little feedback on the project sometimes, like the princesses shouldn't place their hands on their fathers. Maybe they should be further down, and all of those little details that I think are very helpful for me to fix and to work on my future projects. But a lot of the comments also, I didn't agree with them, because when people say that the project was just somehow, I don't want to say rude, but somehow loud, I think, loud for children, I think that the whole act of incest is very loud, and that's the only way for us to discuss it. We have to be as loud as it is. And actually, even though the posters were considered loud somehow, I don't think they're even half as loud as incest itself.